time. She clenched onto the cold steel of the gun, finger on the trigger. Breaths caught in blood, silence floating through the air. It all happened so fast, so soon, so suddenly. The blood that dyed her blouse so red it burned her deeply. Some of it got onto her face, and others pulled around her leg. Pulled around her legs. She was kneeling on them. Her legs. She was kneeling on them. She couldn't believe what she was doing. She couldn't believe she had done it. She couldn't believe it all. All of it. All of it. Her friend. Her best friend. He lied behind her, blood pooling around his black fur. It happened so fast, so suddenly. Before her, the dead, she herself killed. The gun, she could feel bullets in her chamber. She could still feel the rumbling it sent through her fingers, the loud noises it made, the horror it sent out, the horror, the doom. Colonel Samson Taylor. He dragged his fingers up and down the leather of his gun pouch. Inside the pistol he had used to shoot to so many, he never trusted the professor nor his plans nor his plans. First he creates some artificial chaos, then ends up going mad. Then he sends a giant lizard that killed so many not so long ago. He gave them this gizoid that ended up destroying so much. It all ended here. No one last raid. One final battle aboard the Ark. The cold males he hated so much. This older male, distinguishable prowess. Sure, it was easy to battle. It was an easy battle, but he never wanted to come here. Honestly, this ARC program should have never been started in the first place. More people had died because of it than in any skirmish he was in, but it was never over. But it was over. No. But it was over. All over. I can't believe you, the older man from behind murmured. Samson would have chuckled, but he wasn't meant for that. He turned around, eyes as strong as the sun, and glared down upon the old man. He was battered, injured, and constrained by many soldiers. But he was important. His bald head, long white mustache, eyes constricted by a pair of small glasses, white jacket, long boots. It only showed one thing: Professor Joe Robotnik. his voice cold yet demanding. You knew this day would come. I had a deal with the president. I was only doing what you asked. We never asked for you to put the orbital laser in space. Put that orbital laser in space. It seems you've placed that here on your own accord. Is that why this all happened? Because the eclipse cannon? Not only that, Samson continued, but for many failures, you've continued to send us defective products, such as those artificial chaos and the blasted gizoid. You asked for those. I told you they weren't finished. You asked for those. Joe responded, I told you they weren't finished. And that damned hedgehog you'd held from his true potential. We know about your chaos studies and how chaos studies, Gerald, Samson said, and how you gave the hedgehog power beyond all of it. You said you only made him to cure your granddaughter. Obviously you were lying. It was only a test, Gerald stated. No more test, Gerald. We've had enough. But all the innocents aboard the Ark, Gerald yelled. Why them? Why? They knew too much, Samson stated. Easily enough. They were only collateral damage. Collateral? What about the lives? The children aboard? The children were spared. Samson said, we're soldiers, Gerald, not monsters. But you act like some. Samson shook his head. It didn't matter. Gerald could call him by any name he pleased. But it all was not for naught. The mission was a success. The space called Narg had been occupied. Mission accomplished. Now, he had to find that damned hedgehog. Colonel Taylor. He ran up the rail, face frantic behind it. A soldier cried. He ran up the hall, face frantic behind helmet, gun in his hand. He was injured. The colonel could tell as the blood from his arm blood ran from his arm and hand. The colonel gave him a slight nod. The soldier came up. Stop, Colonel Taylor. The soldier said, talking in quick breaths. We have a situation. The older officer raised his eyebrow, and his hand found his chin. Go on, he murmured easily enough. It's the project, and the civilian he was fleeing with. Maria! Gerald yelled from behind. Filled explosions of force. The professor tries his hardest to escape the grip of his assailants. He tugged, he pulled, he even bit. But it was all for naught. with no one swift strike back his head. He was silent, and his body grew limp. Samson shook his head at the sight of the professor. As smart was, he was a foolish person. Returning his attention to the injured, he gave it a nod. It's a project, and a civilian, the soldier repeated. What about them? Samson questioned. Project Shadow is dead. Presumed dead. But what? The civilian, the blonde girl who was fleeing with, she took up arms. And she's already killed 3 of our men, and she's just sitting there. Is there anything else? No, sir. The soldier commented. Not at this time. Samson shifted his glare to the unconscious professor. A minor scoff moved to his lips before he turned away once more. With a salute, he left a group of soldiers he was with. One girl killed 3 of his men. What the hell? Were they dumbasses or what? She was only what, 12? She was a 12-year-old blonde girl. She probably didn't even know how to use a gun. And yet, she killed 3 of his men. What were they doing? Fumbling over each other like other like asses, possibly? On instinct, he knew where she was hiding. The escape pod room. It wasn't too far from where he stood. He strolled down the maze like halls of arc. Down the maze like halls of arc. Without a moment of hesitation, he had been here before, moving up an elevator. He made his way several flights of stairs, coming out the other end, and continued cold halls, passing by many with soldiers. Great machines were there as well, on gun G.U.N drones, and other things. Finally, he made his way to a group of soldiers, all huddled around one door, all guns drawn. Upon seeing the commanding officer, they gave a salute, while their knees began to tremble. Samson gave his own salute to his soldiers, causing them to break their stoic stances. Colonel, one of them called out. No need, he said, raising his hand. I've already been brought up to speed. Coming to the door, he traveled his eyes through the window. He was right. There she sat, Maria Robotnik, on her knees, crying, rifle in her hand, blood around, while Project Shadow lay dead at her backside. So, what's the way I suppose? She has the prime position. No, one soldier home. We can't go in unless we get shot. We didn't care. The girl had a gun clamped in her hands. It was no usual weapon. Long, black, strong. It could easily gun down the Many men realized the position in seconds. How did the little girl dressed in blue gain such a weapon? To hell with that. How did she fire such a weapon? As sad as it was to say, he was impressed. His finger found the room keypad, and he started tapping away. The numbers started chanting at individual presses, while his soldiers started to bend away with fear. She took a deep breath. So suddenly, blue eyes filled with terror, blonde hair tainted with blood, shredded fingers and legs, drowning in the red substance. Samson, as cold as he was, never wished harm on anyone, whether it be man, woman, or child. And she was a child. She started shaking her arms and legs, quaked with unreal amount of fear. She tipped off the rifle, her finger edged weapon's trigger. She said nothing. Her breath started choking her. Her eyes started to spew tears, and her fingers, they. Hey now, Samson said. Samson said, his voice oddly comforting. Put the gun down. The girl's eyes filled with fear. Was he really attempting this? You? He said. Your name. It's Maria, isn't it? His calm, concerned voice must have been a appeal to her. She nodded. Maria, Samson went on. My name is Colonel Taylor. He got closer. I just want to talk. His footsteps got closer, while Maria's pent-up aggression started to waver. Regardless, she kept the gun on her fingers trained. Full on the man before her. Maria, he said, smiling. Just listen. I'm trying my hardest here. Why? Why was he saying this? He hadn't attempted anything yet, but she remained frozen. He got closer. You understand what happened there, don't you? That struck a chord. Almost immediately, her rifle's barreled body. Samson gazed down, still lipping. Things stayed this way for a while before he stepped forward again. Maria, he went on, we're not going to hurt you. He stepped forward. Not at all. She remained adamant. Even his body got near her. Now he was a foot away from her. He had passed the bullet-riddled bodies of his subordinates, she showed no mercy so far. Idiots. She was a little girl. They just need to talk to her. His eyes looked beyond the blind to the project behind Shadow the Hedgehog. Such a terror, and yet here he lied, dead, squinting eyes squinting. He wondered how the doctor's precision failed so horribly. Well, it was none of his business. Maria, he said, gazing into her eyes. Come on, just give me the gun. Everything will be alright then. She shook her head, pulling the gun away. She started cradling it like it was all she had. Well, with the York in shambles like this, it was quite possibly the last thing she had. The last thing she had. Maria, he said, hand stretching out, please, give me the gun. He didn't want to have to shoot a child. But he would. He had a family of his own to attend to. Maria? Her fingers struggled. Sorry, guys. Kind of ran out of breath. Her fingers dragged alongside the gun's cold black steel. What will she do? The anticipation was killing Samson. Her blue eyes stayed traveled along the room, taking in all the sights, the bodies, the blood, the metal gun castings, all of it. Finally, her head turned and saw Shadow, her best friend, her savior, her cure, and she broke down. The gun falling over him, she slammed her dainty fingers into the ground.